All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for our Lunch and Learn today, where we'll talk about online reviews and local SEO with our SEO manager, Adam Beal. As you guys know, or maybe you don't, Results Repeat's a digital marketing agency focused on building websites, doing SEO, and running digital advertising on all platforms. So specifically today, we're going to be talking about the SEO component of our business, but we do offer all those services. So if you're interested in talking with anyone about those, please feel free to reach out at any time. I will let Adam jump into his presentation now. And at the end of the presentation, we'll have a Q&A. So throughout the presentation, if you have any questions for Adam, you can pop those into the chat, and then we'll do a little Q&A session at the end. And without any further ado, Adam, feel free to jump right in. Oh, you're muted.
We're going to be focusing on two separate aspects today, which are reviews and local SEO, how they work together. We're going to first start with local SEO, and this is the process of optimizing a big brick and mortar business or even a service area business for keywords such as apartments near me, plumbers in Philadelphia, things like that. This SEO, this local SEO, can be split up into two subcategories, which are the map pack and the local pack, which you can see in the top part of that. That's the map listings. And then you have the local organics down below that, or where really the core value of SEO with a website comes from. The map pack has its own algorithm and its own set of rules when it comes to local SEO and ranking. What you need to know is that the map or local pack is where you want your business to show up the most. The local organic listings down below the map, or the free listings, are something that you don't want to ignore when you're focusing on local SEO as well. And we'll get into a little bit of that. The good news is that most local SEO optimization tactics will boost with your map pack rating and organic SEO ranking at the same time. So what are Google's ranking signals for the local pack? This is the map section that we're talking about. You can see that in the top, we have optimizing the actual profile, building backlinks, review signals, and the links in the review signals actually send the same amount of value now. On-page signals from your website, behavior signals, and social signals. We'll get into a couple of these as we move throughout this conversation. The first part are backlinks. If you've ever attended an SEO webinar or something before, they've no doubt talked about backlinks at some point in time. These are link signals going back to your website to provide authority. And in this case, we're talking about citations. So there's the same idea with just a little bit of a fancier name. These citations include your name, address, and phone number of the business, or the NAP. And the more listings that you have, the more that are correct, and the higher score you have, all provide a core value of ranking signal for Google and your maps to rank locally and within a service area. There's thousands of directories or websites that can list your business information. It's the second most important ranking signal, and it's important to include this as part of your reputation management strategy and local SEO strategy. Did you know that? Do you know what your current NAP score is? You can ask us to evaluate your business for free. This is a little bit deeper. Out of the 7 ranking signals, review signals are ranked 3rd. Notably, they are the same percentage as link signals, and impact there is rapidly on the rise. Reputation management needs to be a core part of your marketing strategy, and it's more critical than ever for your business. Reviews also provide a human interaction with your business. They carry more importance than just ranking signals. Yes, your potential customers read those reviews to help them make an informed decision. And in fact, 83% of people who shop online say they read the reviews to help them make a decision. So what does Google have to say about reviews? Well, Google's review count and score are factored into local search ranking. More reviews and positive ratings will probably improve a business's local rankings. And what's funny is that it says probably. Google has been notorious for being vague on things and just dropping hints and letting us figuring out what they said, what they mean. So interacting with customers, responding to reviews that they leave about your business, it shows that you value your customers and the feedback that they leave about your business. High quality positive reviews from your customers will improve your business's visibility and increase the likelihood that a potential customer will visit your location. So there's some interesting information there from Google, and they do drop little snippets like this on Twitter from time to time as well. So what are the components of reviews? Review quantity, number of reviews you have, review diversity, the number of reviews on other websites, Travelocity, Yelp, Yellow Pages, things like that. And then review recency is how often or how new the reviews are. So when we're talking about volume of the number of reviews that you have, of course, the more is better. But when you look at it from a different perspective, the more often you have it as well is really beneficial. A great way to minimize the impact of a few negative reviews is to dilute their influence with a large collection of positive reviews. Be wary of companies who say they can provide you with X number of reviews each month to help you push those bad reviews down. They're obviously fake, and Google's actually picking up on those a lot more recently and shutting accounts down who have used that service in the past. Customers are usually looking at a minimum of about 10 reviews before they leave, before they feel they can trust a business to say the customers are looking for trends across a group of reviews and not isolated positive reviews or negative reviews. So let's talk about how we can actually get some more reviews. The best way is just to ask. When we do a follow-up email with somebody who's purchased or signed up for something, we can leave quick buttons. So in this example of Chewy, which is a dog food service and a dog toy service, you can see that their button right there leads to write a review. Simple clicks like this directly to a link platform that opens up a review window that they can just leave a review. Keeping it simplified from reach out to close will create a much better return on your time with following up on customers. So that's one example of an email. Another example of an email is a little bit simpler. And just some text, a rating window, which then also pops open a window for leaving a review on different platforms such as Facebook, Yelp, Google, Bing. You know, there's a lot of them out there that you can diversify your portfolio on. So there's two example emails that we were talking about. Another thing that you can do to involve SEO inside of your reviews, this is a big one that a lot of people miss, is leaving keywords inside of reviews. Customers will naturally leave keywords inside of their own reviews. You have no control over what they say or what they type, but when you reply to them, that gives you that freedom to write the review how you want and include SEO. So in this case, we're talking about a 2019 Toyota RAV4 that was purchased at Prime Toyota. That's what the customer had left, and the response included that same car name, except they put a Prime Toyota Boston reference in there. So they're obviously targeting Boston. And if we're looking at people who have good reviews, including the word and positive feedback, that also is a keyword that is pretty good at the end there. Does this company have a positive feedback? You know, something like that. There's some little keyword phrases that you can go after like that within your responses. Okay, so do we have up-to-date content on our websites, our social profiles. It's really difficult to keep this active and in a healthy state. Google does look at your company and your site as a whole, and if you're healthy and active on with your content generation. So another form of content generation that you can use is reviews. That's a quick way to generate content. You can use those on your social profiles, on your website. There's a lot of different values that come from getting more and more reviews. So there's another little strategy you can use to include reviews. Generating review content is as simple as finding good ways to ask your customers. Responding to reviews will pile on even more fresh GMB content, which is Google My Business. From a customer perspective, review solicitation and response are beneficial. Rather than simply talking to prospective customers, your customers are talking about you. You are engaging with them in a public forum where potential customers can see that you are committed to providing a great customer experience. And when we're talking about the actual places to put reviews and review diversity, there's a number of different platforms out there, depending on the niche of your business as well, that you can ask for reviews on and generate more of that positive effect throughout your SEO campaigns. So most local sites like Moz and Bright Local make note that review diversity is an important indicator for local ranking. In fact, they give it one of the highest points inside of that review. Diversity is one of the highest points of ranking within that algorithm that they think of. Therefore, this becomes a subset of your review volume metric to start to make sure your business has accounts and an active presence on the leading review sites, starting with Google, of course, Yelp, Facebook, but then you can think outside the box a little bit from there. What to do about a negative review? This question gets brought to our attention so often. And there's a number of different things that you can do. First of all, they're not as bad as what you think. There's no way we can satisfy everybody or make everybody a perfectly 5-star happy client or customer. So you do your best and you respond appropriately. As people read your reviews, they actually look at that review as feedback with a client that may have not been happy, but they look at that as human interaction. So they know nobody's perfect and they keep reading and read some other reviews and good reviews to help balance that out. A few negative reviews definitely increases your credibility. A variety of opinions will give your help a business of looking genuine, and you can't make everybody happy. So there's the wrap up there, and I'm looking to see if anybody has any questions that they would like answered.
So I have a question, Adam. If a bad review helps establish credibility, I mean, what if you're a business who only has 5-star reviews and they're all really positive?
And they're all fresh. That's usually kind of the norm with that. When a business has very, very little negative reviews and they do have all positive reviews, it might look a little spammy. So when people go to actually read the latest reviews or the most relevant reviews suggested by Google, they can see that they're actually humans writing that. There's misspellings, there's bad grammar, there's all of it within there. And there's another response back from the owner customized for that person. So you can see there's a really engaging process there. And that will also impact the negative reviews and people not wanting to leave them, thinking they're the outsiders.
Great. And what about, what if you're a business who gets a lot of reviews? You're lucky and you have tons coming through all the time. How can you stay on top of, what do you recommend for staying on top of being responsive, putting in keywords, just making sure you're managing that effectively and appropriately?
Yep. Getting notifications that you've received a new review from each of these platforms. I know that we have a reputation management software packet that we're putting together that you get a notification for all of those different websites, and you're able to respond in a healthy amount of time and let the reviews that come in new just naturally build from there. Just keep asking and keep doing what you're doing because it's working.
Got it. Okay, so someone asked, are local reviews right for all businesses? What if a store sells nationally and doesn't have a storefront?
It doesn't matter. So reviews, absolutely across the board, even if you're not selling online. Reviews definitely help build a relationship with a potential customer.
Can you think of any type of customer that a review wouldn't be good for?
I'm sure I could.
Tell us about using social media to encourage reviews, like a good review campaign.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? You broke up a little bit.
Yeah, speak about using social media to encourage reviews.
So if you're engaging on social media, which is really what that platform is, there's a lot of ads on it right now, but it's still engaging with people. You don't necessarily look for a conversion off of social media that much anymore unless you're selling a product. So if you're engaging with your audience on social media as a business, looking at the reviews as a talking point and generating that good word of mouth, that is extremely important to intermingle the two.
Got it. What are the pros and cons of sharing reviews of businesses on a directory site? So not our business's specific review, but sharing reviews of businesses we feature in a specific category. This is a question from
on other directories.
Sounds like it, yes.
Yeah, so, okay, there's the big review sites, of course, we all know. So Yelp and Travelocity for the travel industry and apartments.com, there's the big ones. Then there's another level below that that carries a little bit more weight. And then you have the directories down below that. So as far as level of importance, having reviews on directories for other companies and things like that, it does provide some value, but it's really little when it comes to the overall ranking factor dealing with reviews and how they work. I hope that answered that question.
Lisa, if we didn't quite answer it, feel free to post it a different way and we'll try again. In the meantime, a really good question. Is it wise to reply to client or customer comments on social media platforms with a link to leave a review? So say someone posted on our Facebook page that, you know, they're getting great results from their SEO campaign, and we responded and said, oh, thanks so much for saying that. Here's a link to leave a review. Is that considered spammy, or do you think that is wise?
Okay, so there are some things within that question that you can't do. So you can't use a Yelp link in situations like that. That's against their rules. But most other sites, so you can do that with Google or any of the other ones, apartment.com, Travelocity, all the big ones, you can absolutely do that with those, and that's recommended.
What makes Yelp different?
Yelp started out with restaurants and was super popular in the mid 2000s, roughly. It fell off of that and has been trying to find a kind of a niche since then. And what they found is they do a volume of different businesses now. Instead of focusing in on one industry, they're diversifying their style of being able to accept reviews. But they still have the one rule in place that they had in the beginning, which is you cannot promote yourself to get reviews on Yelp. So it's against the rules to ask somebody, hey, can you leave me a Yelp review? It's against their rules. Do people still do it? Yes.
Got it. So this is a good question too. Do you recommend that all reviews should be responded to, including negative reviews and star only reviews? So where someone didn't write out a comment but only put stars?
That's a great question. I think responding to any review, somebody who actually left text, is extremely important. The people who left 1 star, if you can use that information, because it's going to show you their name, If you can match their name to a client that you may have just dealt with, then respond to it. I've seen certain instances where it's obviously not even a human name. It's just a bunch of scribbled letters and it was 1 star. It's either a bot or somebody who was very upset about that. So there's 2 different schools of thought when it comes to responding in text to a 1 star no text review. Some companies will want to address it and say, hey, we don't know who you are, but we'd love to talk to you more about why you had a bad experience. Something like that is great, but some people just leave it alone.
Okay. And what is the best way, in your opinion, to encourage customers to leave a review? Is it via email? Is it, is there some other way that you would recommend?
There's 2 ways. So email still works, but text messages actually get a much, much better open rate. And once they're open, they're more likely to follow and click through it, especially with if they have to click more than twice to get to the actual star rating, then they're going to drop out. So you need it to be a 2-step process, basically at most, a 3-step process. As long as you do that and you do it through text, which is actually one of the best ways, your reviews will actually increase.
Awesome. Okay, one last question, I think, unless anybody else has one now, now's your chance to pop it into the chat. If a client leaves a negative review with detailed information, should you engage with them in a response or some other way? Or I'll add, or both.
Okay, recently had a question from a roofer client about the same exact thing. And the approach that we ended up coming to with him and his style and the way he runs his business, and that's really what it all boils down to, is he knew who the customer was. They called him directly, came back out, made him happy, and then responded with, here's what we did to fix the problem. And then the guy changed his review. So you can flip a review around by doing it that way and being very personable. You can also just say, you can't please everybody, leave a review that explains that and move on. Use that as like the value that I had talked about before, where you're creating a human experience.
Right. Okay. One more question in the chat right now. So if you don't have an established email or text campaign, which we know everybody doesn't, is it okay to leave a link to your Google My Business reviews on a website's contact page?
Yes, 100%. And some of the things we've been doing is actually putting it down in the footer and having you just say, go to the website, scroll all the way to the bottom, it's right in the center. And it's a real quick way for them to get to where they need to go. You can also have it on the contact page as well. That's important too. It's just ways of interacting. So social media, your review buttons, maybe links to your actual reviews to build some trust. Things like that you can also put on your contact page.
Got it. Awesome. Well, thanks, Adam. This has been really informative. And I know I learned something, and I'm sure everybody else did too. If you guys have any follow-up questions for Adam or for me, feel free to reach out. We're just, Adam@resultsrepeat.com, Carissa@resultsrepeat.com. We are going to send a recording of this webinar to all the attendees, and we'll also post it on our YouTube. So feel free to check it out later if you'd like to rewatch it or share it. And that's it for today. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.